We've seen a flurry of misleading claims on immigration from both sides of the aisle in the wake of President Obama's recent executive actions. Let's take a closer look at some.
Now, when I took office, I committed to fixing this broken system. And I began by doing what I could to secure our borders, because I do believe in secure borders. And over the past 6 years, illegal border crossings have been cut by more than half.
Actually, Southwest border apprehensions are down 32% since fiscal year 2008, based on preliminary figures for fiscal 2014. Let's keep watching.
Don't let all the rhetoric fool you. There was a brief spike this summer in unaccompanied children being apprehended at the border, but it was temporary, and the number of such children is now actually lower than it's been in nearly 2 years.
Apprehensions are down from a spike earlier this year, but they still were higher in October 2014 compared with 2 years ago. Here's a claim from former Senator Rick Santorum.
The bottom line is, we have more people in this country. The last 20 years have been the largest wave of immigration in the history of this country. There are more people living in this country who were not born here than at any time in the history of the country.
Yes or
and
no?
what the president is saying is, we need more. And working men and women are saying, hold on, how about us?
That's true in raw numbers, but a greater percentage of the population was foreign-born from 1860 to 1920. Here's a misleading claim being circulated by Representative Michelle Bachmann. In an email, she said, "What could more fundamentally transform our nation than making our precious American citizenship and the rule of law merely commodities to be dispensed with as our imperial president sees fit, flooding our land with illegal foreigners which will forever alter our way of life?" She went on to imply that the unauthorized immigrants affected by Obama's actions would be able to vote, writing, "The Democrats are licking their wounds after their terrible defeats this month, and are viewing these millions of illegal aliens as votes for their leftist agenda in 2 years. False. Representative Michelle Bachmann wrongly suggested that Obama is granting citizenship and voting privileges to immigrants who are in the country illegally. His executive actions do neither of those. The immigration debate also included claims regarding homeland security. Here's Representative Tom Cotton.
No, I mean, Hezbollah.
What's the evidence?
No, Hezbollah has tried to launch terrorist attacks right here in Washington, D.C. They're under federal indictment, collaborating with locals in Mexico to cross our border to attack us here. As long as our border is open and it's defenseless, then it's not just an immigration issue, it's a national security issue. And we know that these drug cartels in Mexico are focused primarily on power and profit. They'll branch out into any activity if it brings them more money and helps them consolidate control. That's yet another reason why we have to get control of our border.
But Hezbollah was not involved in the plot, and border security was not an issue. A naturalized U.S. citizen living in Texas was sentenced to 25 years in prison on May 30th, 2013 for conspiring to assassinate the Saudi ambassador to the United States. His co-conspirator was an Iranian-based member of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The only connection to Mexico, the naturalized U.S. citizen sentenced in the case traveled to Mexico to hire a hitman who turned out to be an informant for the Drug Enforcement Administration. Finally, let's examine some misleading claims being made in regards to public opinion over the immigration issue.
Most Americans support the types of reforms I've talked about tonight.
Obama is right that opinion polls show a majority of Americans support allowing immigrants now living in the country illegally to stay. But fewer Americans support using executive action to accomplish that.
You know, the president quite rightly said just a few weeks ago, his policies were on the ballot all over the country. This last election was a referendum on amnesty, and the American people overwhelmingly rose up and said, no, we don't want lawless amnesty.
Cruz, on the other hand, is wrong to say that the 2014 election results show that Americans rejected, quote, amnesty, at least how Cruz defines it. He considers amnesty to mean providing a path to citizenship for immigrants in the country illegally. Exit poll data show exactly the opposite. According to the data, election voters, by a margin of 57% to 39%, said those living in the U.S. illegally but working should be offered a chance to apply for legal status. To see more, go to factcheck.org.